Hello friends, my name is Samantha of Coffee Talks with Samantha, and sometimes I do other things, and this is one of them. I kind of considered making this a Wednesday Wisdom, but I do want to talk about my personal experiences here, and I felt goofy putting Wednesday Wisdom in a title, something about me, because that just feels conceited. But what I want to talk about today is something I've wanted to talk about for a while, and I've even tried to film this before and it came out terrible because my brain was in 1,000 places and it just wasn't the quality I wanted. But what I want to talk about today is the 5 stages of grief. Now, I don't particularly feel like it's a linear healing process between the 5 stages, but it's still something that I wanted to talk about and discuss my experiences with it to maybe help someone out there. And let's jump right into it. If you are completely new to this channel, first of all, welcome, but to catch you up on how this channel was born, my significant other passed away last summer, and I want to say 6 months after I got the inspiration to start this channel, because he used to do Snapchat stories every morning, motivating and inspiring people, and that's just the kind of person he was. He always was driven not only for himself, but he wanted the best for other people, and he wanted to spread that message of living your best life. So that's how Coffee Talks was born. I wanted to share other people's perspectives on how they live their best lives. Now, I've gotten pretty good at talking about him and his story, but I wanted to reflect on the process that brought me here, again, to maybe help someone, anyone. Now, the first stage is denial. This initial reaction is natural and it comes about almost as like a reflex. It is something so unbelievably awful that we just choose not to believe it because we aren't physically prepared to process it yet. The shock overcomes your reality and just consumes it with like what your reality used to be. And it's pretty easy to become emotionally numb from it. I personally did become 100% numb to it, at least for the first few days. It kind of came in waves where like I was waiting to be picked up from my work because I didn't physically feel capable to drive my car into the city where he was in the family. So my dad came to pick me up from work to bring me to the hospital, and the entire time it was like waves of how is this happening and this isn't happening. So I would be like screaming, crying, and then I'd just be completely just like numb. But the shock and the denial almost soothes you because it's a defense mechanism, like fight or flight, like you're kind of flighting in that moment. This survival technique actually kind of helps us in the long run because that way you have a moment to process your thoughts instead of immediately going into rage. As long as you don't linger in this denial phase, you are solely only becoming a stronger, wiser you. Speaking of rage, the next phase is anger. In any other circumstance, I would highly recommend you let go of any anger that you have within you. If any of you knew Ryan personally, you knew that he used to be a very angry person, and he kind of called it what I always called like a light switch moment. He literally broke his ankle, watched The Secret, and suddenly he was an enlightened new human. But before then, he was a very angry person, and he learned to let that all go, which brought him to the person everyone loved. I mean, he was still lovable beforehand, but you know what I mean. That is when he became the inspirational, uplifting, just always driven human. He started doing the things that he loved for the right reasons instead of like trying to do like diss tracks and whatnot. Like I know of a couple that he did, but as I've mentioned in my video talking about how it's okay to not be okay, sometimes you just have to let yourself feel. And this is one of those scenarios. Choosing to stay numb to it only halts your healing and you're hurting yourself in the long run. There's a difference between progression and suppression. One lets you find your personal way of coping and healing, and the other way is just burying it all to manifest in more negative ways in the future, which will only cause you more damage, and you want to heal in this time. The anger will always be at different levels about different things, and it might surprise you the things that will invoke that anger in you, but you have to take the time to realize why you're angry. I know personally I felt that what I was the most angry about is the question, why him? Because he just had so much potential. He was just getting started. Like, he had all these projects in the works and he was going to achieve them. No one was going to stop him. So it just didn't make sense to me that him, of all people, the most uplifting, inspirational human with all the right intentions, why him? With such an intense experience, it's normal to have intense emotions about it. So again, don't hold yourself back from feeling what you need to feel in this moment. And that's what brings us to the next phase, bargaining. I personally feel like I wasn't totally in this phase, but I'll talk about it anyway. So you've started to calm down and think straight. Now what? The wheels of logic start turning in your head. This is where all the questioning begins. You'll find yourself falling down a rabbit hole of like if onlys, like what if, like how about this, like how can this happen? I read that people will be like, if I do this, will it bring them back? Like asking the higher power, like, you know what I mean? Like, I personally don't believe in like a God, but if you do, like, I'm not saying I'm open to everything, but people asking God, like, if I just do better at this, can this bring them back? Like, I need them, like, this is not right. And obviously the answer will always be no. I remember I convinced myself that I had something to do with it because of the last text that I sent him. He always taught me that what you ask for is what you get, sort of thing, with like the law of attraction, and that your thoughts are things. And the last text that I sent him was asking if he was alive, because I haven't heard from him in hours. Like, I thought that I spoke into existence his fate. Obviously that wasn't the case. He just got into a freak accident. Knowing that there's nothing that you can do doesn't stop the bargaining though. There's always going to be that desire of what could you change to go back one day, just to have them back for just one day, for one more hug, or one more conversation, just to see them physically one more time. Like, what could you possibly do to get that? You'll find yourself living in the past, reanalyzing every situation that you were in, and you'll find any way to not hurt anymore. And then it all sets in. The next phase is depression. So you snap back into reality once you fully realize the situation that's at hand and the fact that there's nothing that you can do about it, and this is your new reality. That's when the truth sets into your soul, and this is where the grief actually starts to become present. Like I said, it's okay to not be okay. Losing someone that you've made a connection with will always be a tragedy, no matter the depth or the time that you had with them. As long as you had the connection, it's always gonna hurt when you lose that. In this phase, it's hard to imagine the light at the end of the tunnel, but that's okay. This is your natural response to accepting your new reality. Whatever you do, don't try to rush through it, because that's exactly what I did. I tried to suppress or repress, I know there's a difference there, but I think there was a little bit of both. All of the emotions that I was feeling, because I felt like I had a lot of eyes on me, and I was just trying to be okay for everyone else. And then when it actually did settle in me and I couldn't fight it anymore, I kind of let it consume me, and I became the exact opposite of what Ryan would want. And then once I realized that Ryan would want me to take those emotions and turn them into something productive, is when this channel started. And I started to pull myself out of this phase. This phase does feel the heaviest, and it seems like it's the worst part, because it is, but it is the most vital, it's the most necessary to heal your soul completely, to accept your reality and feel those feelings and think through everything. I mean, it's not the best thoughts, but if you ignore your thoughts, they're only gonna come back tenfold. So, and that's what brings us to the last phase, acceptance. It's hard to feel okay and at peace after a tragedy. And I'm not even talking about just the process of this whole thing, like it feels like it'll never end, but sometimes you almost feel guilty for feeling okay, for feeling that happiness, which like I definitely did a lot of the time. But it's also hard to put yourself back into your normal everyday life without that person. It may never feel the same again, and that's okay, because it's not going to be. The only thing that truly matters is that you live a life that your loved one that you lost would be proud of, because they are watching over you. And why wouldn't you want to make them proud? Even if acceptance only comes on slowly, it will come if you let it. This phase isn't about forgetting a person or trying to cut that part of your life out entirely in order to move on. It's relearning your new reality, getting comfortable with what you're dealt with. And let me stress this, it's okay to be happy. And that's what I was saying, where like I felt like I wasn't supposed to be happy. Like I'd be laughing and I'd be like, how could I be laughing right now? But it's okay to live your life, because living your life is part of the healing process, and having good days and having new happy memories is completely allowed. You deserve to live your best life, and your loved one would only want to see you happy. You can't be fully embraced by this phase if you try to force yourself out of the healing process to skip to it, or if you try to just rush through everything. Listen to yourself, listen to your mind, your body, your soul. Pay attention to what your needs are, whether that's emotionally or if you need an extra pint of ice cream one night. Take care of yourself first. Do whatever feels right for you to reach this point and maintain it. Not every day will be easy. Not every day will feel like you've reached the point of acceptance after you feel like you've reached the point of acceptance, and that's okay. At this point, you have grown into a stronger, wiser you, and you have a new guardian angel to make sure that the rest of your life will be a good one. And this channel has actually played a huge part of my acceptance phase. Working on spreading Ryan's message has helped me accept his passing as long as I keep working. He was such a dedicated, driven human that it just wouldn't feel right to me to sit still. Helping others in Ryan's name and honor and memory has helped my soul heal so much. And part of the acceptance phase is moving on. Like I said before, it's not moving on without them, it's moving on for them. Live the life that they would want you to lead. Be the person they'd want you to be. And find the happiness that they know you deserve. Speaking of which, I feel like this is a good time to announce that I have a girlfriend now. And it feels weird because like this whole channel is born from me honoring my boyfriend that passed away. Like going into a new relationship has been like strange with this channel, but I got so incredibly lucky because my girlfriend has only ever been super supportive of all of this, the channel and everything that I have been doing. She even had J-Zack on some mixed CDs before we started dating, so like she's down with the music too. She is the only other person that I felt this like magnetic connection with. Like her and Ryan are the only ones that I've felt this way about. Obviously every connection is different from person to person, but I'm just, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd be ready to move on in a new relationship, if that makes any sense. But I'm just so grateful for her coming back into my life, especially now, because we met 7 years ago and we had big old crushes on each other, but we both had a lot of growing up to do, and it just wasn't healthy for us at the time to pursue anything. But a couple months back we reconnected, and it's been absolute magic. She's perfect for me in every way, I swear. Like down to the point where she is a trauma specialist. Like she used to work in a school directly with kids with behavioral issues, and now she works as a child's case manager. So selfishly, I'm getting the support that I need in this way for my circumstances. And she gave me permission to read these text messages. Give me 1 minute. There was one day where she fell asleep on me. We had been chatting all morning, and it was around like 8 that she fell back asleep and didn't wake back up till 11. But it just invoked something in me that I never experienced before, and I don't want to self-diagnose myself with PTSD or anything, but that's the closest I think it would be without a professional diagnosis. So I was like blowing up her phone because hour 1 went by and I was like, she's probably sleeping. And then hour 2 went by and I was like, oh my god, she's dead. Like, I had full on convinced myself that something had happened, and by hour 3 I was panicking, like shaking and crying at my desk. Like I was trying to hold back tears rather at work. So she wakes up and I expressed this, and she was like, 2 things. Don't ever refer to yourself as annoying again, and I completely understand why you'd panic given your circumstances. I'll try to be better about letting you know if I'm sleepy, just in case I doze off, I promise. I just never want to be the cause of your stress, particularly regarding the reasoning behind me not responding. I'll do my best to communicate better about that kind of thing. And I was just like, again, expressing what a weird feeling it was and like how I thought it could have been PTSD, and she was like, PTSD doesn't always get caused by war or stuff like that. Traumas happen to everybody and leave huge impacts. Your trauma was astronomical. You might never react how you want to again, but you can work on it. I'll help you work on it. I may be dating the world's most understanding human, but you're in luck because my literal professional area of expertise when it comes to understanding is traumatic experience. I got you. So again, I got so incredibly lucky there where we already had this magnetic connection, but now she is professionally trained on how to support me the way that I need to, and I feel so selfish mentioning that even, but it's just, I am so grateful and I could not be any more lucky than I am. And you will be meeting her in the next video, so look out for that. But I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope this helped at least one person to walk through the experiences so you don't feel so alone if it's anything that you're going through. And if anyone ever needs to talk to someone about their experiences, any of my DMs on any accounts are always open, and just know that you're not alone going through this. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I can tell you personally from like first-hand experience, it gets better. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're into this kind of thing. And with that, stay positive, my friends, and have a wonderful last day.
I'm sorry that I left, I'm sorry I ain't perfect, I'm sorry I admit it, mama, but it's gonna be worth it, yeah. I'm sorry that I left, I'm sorry I ain't perfect, I'm sorry, but I'm doing this for you, just know I'm working, yeah, 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 yeah. Just know I'm working, know I'm working.